every stereotype you've ever heard about the city of Seattle is true. We love everything from salmon to Starbucks. We love all the local musical acts like Heart or Jimi Hendrix or Nirvana. And even if you hated those bands before you came to Seattle, it's the same as when I moved to Austin, Texas, and I hated country music until about 3 seconds after I moved to Austin, Texas, and then I was like, okay, I love it, it's fantastic, and for the rest of my life I love country music. It's the same when you move to Seattle. All those bands that you think are absolutely awful, you learn to love while you're here, including even Macklemore. I've never been a huge fan of Macklemore, but my wife and I were up on Capitol Hill, and his car pinned ours in, and I asked him if he could move it, and he was like the most polite person I've ever met in my entire life, and I felt like a jerk for being such a hater. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, excuse me, please, yeah, let me move it out of the way. And so, but if there's two things that we absolutely are unbelievably crazy about, three things really, because we actually are suckers for the rain. We like it because we love to complain, and if there's one thing you can complain about all the time in Seattle, it's the rain, because it does rain all the time. Yet another thing about Seattle that is absolutely true. But two things we absolutely cherish are Toyota trucks and the Seattle Seahawks. We are utterly crazy about both of them. They are two of our favorite things in the entire world. If you look over my left shoulder, you'll see not only Safeco Field, where the Seattle Mariners play, but you'll see CenturyLink, where the Seattle Seahawks play. And then our dealership, Toyota of Seattle and Honda of Seattle, were combined into one giant entity, is right here alongside the two stadiums in downtown Seattle. And our dealership's almost as big as those two stadiums, almost 500,000 square feet. It's absolutely gigantic. If you're ever in the King County area up here in the Pacific Northwest, please swing by. I would love to show you a tour of the place. But what we're taking a look at is the off-road version of the 2015 Toyota Tundra. And as much as we love Toyota trucks, this is car number one of our favorite cars up here in the Pacific Northwest. We love Tundras, especially when they're four-wheel drive, and more especially when they're CrewMax 4 full-door big trucks. Now, the thing we love most about these, other than they look fantastic, is they're extremely strong and extremely powerful. So they have a 5.7 liter V8 engine. It has 381 horsepower and 401 pound-feet of torque. And you say, well, Joe, I've heard that other trucks have more power than the Tundra does. And yes, that's absolutely true. You'll also read that pretty much every other truck specs out better than the Tundra truck, yet none of them have even a fraction of the resale value of the Tundra truck. Why is that? Well, the Tundra truck is in many ways the same kind of truck as the Tacoma truck, and the Tacoma is the single best resale value maybe in the entire car industry, not just trucks. I mean, it's as high gets. And other small trucks are fine, they're adequate, they do certain things very, very well, they might even look really nice. They're just not put together with that robust integrity that separates Toyota from the rest of everybody else. Toyotas are literally built to last forever, not just for a long time, but forever. And so it can be upsetting when they're new, is everything's so stiff and rigid. And so you read year after year after year after year that they're too stiff and they're too rigid, and it's because they're built to last forever. That's the whole point of getting a Toyota truck. They're not soft and squishy and built to fall apart in 10 or 12 years. They're built to fall apart at the end of never. And so their engines have been around for many years now, but this 381 horsepower, 401 pound-foot torque motor has proven itself to be an easy 250,000-mile engine with very little maintenance. I mean, it's one of the best engines, not just V8 engines, not just truck engines, one of the best engines that money can buy. And then architecturally, also the Tundra truck is extraordinarily strong, especially the 2014 and above models. This is the newish body style. It's a variation on a theme from the former body style, and it is much stronger and does have a little bit more chic lines than its predecessor did. The cab itself, exterior-wise, is the same as the outgoing 2013 in back model, but the other sheet metal is new. Now, this being an off-road edition has a really special suspension. It's made by Bilstein. It's actually not made by Toyota. And what's neat about the shock absorbers in this, all Tundras that are in four-wheel drive particularly have very strong shock absorbers, very strong suspension packages, so they're built to go off-road. In fact, they can go over boulders and ruts and do some pretty sophisticated, bone-jarring things. What makes the Bilstein shock absorbers a step ahead is that they have this contiguous reservoir. Right next to the shock is a reservoir that allows the shock to essentially bleed out and suck back in all of the material that it's losing as it goes up and down. And so if a shock were to go to its extreme limits, at some point it would break. But these shocks, because they have a reservoir, let them go to essentially like 110% of their limits, because they have this nearby reservoir that allows the fluid to come in and come back out. So in terms of its comparability to other 4x4 Tundras, the front suspension, the shocks will actually go 1 3/4 inch higher. The travel is 1 3/4 inch further than other Tundra shocks and pretty much any other shocks that are on a truck that there is. And the back's 1.83 inches. So almost 2 full inches of travel beyond what it's the base model would more typically be. As a result, the front end sits 2 inches taller than other Tundra 4x4s, and and it's got a softer spring rate in the front as well, because it would be a little bit probably too bone jarring for going out for daily use. And then also, look at those Seattle Seahawks graphics. They look absolutely beautiful. We can't sell this truck until the season is over, because of course we show it at the stadium. Now, if I take a look inside, the beauty of a Crew Max. Now, again, it's not like most domestic trucks. And again, I love domestic trucks. So a lot of people say, "Oh, you're just hating on the Rams or what have you because you sell Toyotas." Oh, you got to be kidding me! I love Rams. I love Fords. I love Chevys. I think all new trucks are really nice. I think trucks are going through a real renaissance right now. What I like about the Tundra is that it reminds me of the Tacoma. The Tacoma is much more athletic. It just feels like a younger person's vehicle. It doesn't feel like some old, squishy, soft Denali that's built for some old timer. And I'm not saying young people shouldn't be thrilled to own Denalis. I'm just saying the personality is very different in Tacomas than it is in other vehicles. Just like a Jeep Wrangler, it's got a certain vitality to it that other off-road vehicles just don't have. The Tacoma has something that's just different in the marketplace. The Tundra is a big Tacoma, no other way to say it. It's athletic, it steers really nice. In fact, it steers really nice, like frighteningly nice. Like it steers like a car, like a fun to drive car, not like a big truck. Space, obviously, you've got acres of space. But where the Crew Max really is a big step ahead compared to everything else is just how much space it has in the back. So at 6 feet tall and 175 pounds, not only can I cross my legs in the back seat, I mean I can lay down practically in the back seat. There is more room than you'll ever need in the back seat of this truck. It is unbelievably spacious. And then we take a look at the back. TRD 4x4 off-road. The off-road package also has what's called a catback exhaust. So the catalytic converter, which is at the end of the exhaust manifold, the exhaust pipe that comes from there all the way to the back is a special TRD exhaust pipe, and it sounds different. You have a nice Tundra built into there, and then a rear camera as well. This one has a bed liner from the factory, which is a nice add-on. If you're going to get a truck like this, you really owe it to yourself. Whether you get one from the factory or get one aftermarket, you need to get a bed liner. You see some of the most beautiful trucks sometimes, and they don't have a bed liner. It doesn't make any sense to have a scratched-up bed like that. Again, the graphics look really cool. The wheels look really cool. You see those Bilstein shocks in the back. But let's jump inside and turn it on and see what it sounds like. Now, this truck can tow 10,000 pounds. It has a great transmission. Everything about this car is just unbelievably well built, even overbuilt. Huge brakes. In fact, you need special equipment to deal with the brakes on this car that they have pretty much exclusively at Toyota and Lexus dealerships. A lot of Lexuses use the same really big brakes that are on this truck. And so the extraordinarily strong, fabulous, fast stopping distances. Again, much more athletic than most trucks would ever dream of being. The exhaust, give it a little gas. Exhaust sounds great. It's got a great navigation unit. It's got a great stereo system, dual zone climate control, and again, all the space you could ever want to handle here. See how the radio sounds.
I was with my little man that made them hammers blend. And we was scamming for the scammers scam. We was shooting way before your little cameraman. Walking down college, mobbing by the...
Nice. Again, it's a cool truck. It's a great truck. As soon as the season's over, it's going to be a truck that's for sale. If you have any questions about this truck, please don't hesitate to give me a call. My name's Joe Tunney. I'm the pre-owned director at Honda of Seattle and Toyota of Seattle, both here in downtown Seattle. And you can reach me anytime at joet@hondaofseattle.com.